Welcome to another episode of Skate Park Showcase. Behind me is the Douglasville, Georgia skate park, just west of Atlanta. It's not a whole lot to look at, but we're gonna check it out. I was actually in Douglasville, Georgia for work, and I saw that they had a small skate park, so I figured I'd come by the park for a few hours and knock out an episode of Skate Park Showcase. It's not gonna be a very long one because it's not a very big park. I didn't have a whole lot of time here, but I had a lot of fun, that's for sure. Like I said earlier, we're just west of Atlanta. It's about 19 to 20 miles outside of the heart of Atlanta, which depending on traffic means that it's about 30 to 45 minutes outside of Atlanta. The park is in a really nice area. There's a lot of upscale neighborhoods around here. There's a nice big parking lot and a lot of fields and walking tracks and stuff of that nature. Unfortunately, the park does not represent its surroundings. The park is pretty beat up, so as soon as you roll up, you're gonna be a little bit disappointed in contrast to what your expectations might be just by the surrounding area. So the park is old skate wave prefab ramps. Skate wave no longer exists, and a lot of their parks are just now falling into disrepair because there's no one to repair the park. So the layout, I would say it basically just comprises of two things. There is the street park, which is just back and forth action, and then there are the outer edges, outer elements, with a good bit of smaller flat ground obstacles. So the first thing that I hit out here was the smaller flat ground obstacles. I didn't hit everything because I just didn't have a lot of time and it was very hot, but I'll do my best to break each thing down. So first, there's this long line of manual pads / grind boxes and then benches. It goes like box, bench, box, bench. So the surface on the bench and the boxes is this like plastic material that lasts a really long time. Usually this stuff slides really well, but I think maybe just because it was so hot today, the benches were sticking quite a bit. I was struggling just to get a front board on one of the benches, but eventually I was able to get one. But the problem is the benches and the boxes are really close together, so I kept running into one of the boxes. The boxes are nice. They're a decent length. They're 4 foot wide, 8 foot long, about a foot tall. One interesting thing that I noticed is that one of the boxes had angle iron on it. Somebody had come out here and physically put angle iron on the side, and I actually like that a lot better than the material it's made out of. So naturally, I gravitated towards that one. I didn't grind any of the other sides. I just grinded that one side that had the angle iron on it, and it was pretty fun. The boxes themselves are a really nice size for doing manuals and using them as manual pads. A little bit further down, you've got a kink rail. It's nice and long. The low side's super mellow and the high side is not too crazy high. Kink rails are a lot of fun to just warm up on the low end first and then work your way up to the high end. I always like skating them. They're always really good warm-up obstacles. And then there's this round curved rail on one of the corners. It was a little bit sticky, but once I got my speed right, I was able to knock out a couple tricks on it. A little skinny, but it skated really well. And then there's like this random kicker with these other boxes type thing, and I didn't even skate it at all. There's also a couple of small curbs that are pretty much like DIY, like somebody just brought them out here. I didn't skate them at all. I'm not really much of a curb skater, but I know people that like curb skating would probably enjoy these a lot. They look pretty solid and pretty long. There's a small round bar, looks like a DIY that somebody just brought out here. Definitely isn't like a prefab rail built by Skatewave. It's solid, it's fun. The legs are weird because like one leg goes out on one side and the other leg goes out on the other side. I've never seen one built like that, so that was kind of interesting. Then there's like 3 of those manual pad / grind boxes right next to each other. I didn't touch those, but that serves as a pretty cool like long manual pad. So that pretty much covers the outside elements. Let's get into the street section. The street section is pretty basic. It's just a back and forth flow with a quarter pipe on one side, a bank on the other, and then the fun box in the middle. So we'll talk about the quarter pipe first. The quarter pipe's nice. It is metal and it was really hot today, so you gotta be careful about that. It's good transition. It's about 4 feet tall. I think it was somewhere around 12 feet wide. The only problem is that the top is in pretty disrepair. It's solid, like it's not about to fall apart or anything, but there's a lot of rust that's exposed because the outer layer had like cracked off and just broken to bits. So it's definitely dangerous. Like you don't want to get skint up on all that rust. But as for the skatability of the quarter pipe, it is a really fun quarter pipe. It's nice and fast, it's not too steep, and the coping is definitely solid on it. On the opposite end is a bank. The deck of the bank is exactly like the deck of the quarter pipe. It's in the same condition, needs some repairs, a lot of rust and broken bits everywhere. But structurally, it's still pretty sound, perfect for doing a couple of flip tricks on or flowing back into the park. Now that brings us to the fun box. The fun box is okay, I guess. Not like crazy awesome. There's one side that has 2 hips, a pyramid setup. The hips are a little bit steep, but not too bad. You just gotta get used to the angle. Everything's like a little bit janky, like some of the edges don't quite line up, and you just gotta kind of like figure it out and power through it and just go for it anyway. The pyramid side does have a rail on it. It was a little bit sticky. I didn't have wax with me, but I was able to power through and get a board slide on it. So easy to get onto, nice and low, super long, not bad. And on the opposite side, there's just an up, across, and down ledge. I didn't skate this. It looked like it was skatable. It was a little bit rusted. It did have some issues, but I think it's probably decently skatable. But like I said, I didn't touch it, just didn't have enough time. And then you've got the very center, the stair set, the last thing that I hit today. It's okay, I guess. Like, it's not bad, but it just sucks because there's not much run up. The quarter pipe on the far end definitely gives you enough speed where you don't have to put a extra push in between reaching it, but you have to be set up as you're going up the bank approaching the flat because the flat is so short. That's one thing that I hate with a lot of these prefab parks is their flats just aren't long enough, and that's very frustrating. One of the guys that was out there, when he saw me hitting it, he was like, dude, nobody does tricks on that thing, and I can definitely see why. Surprisingly enough, I did get a kickflip on it. I was pretty stoked about that. Tried a tray flip afterwards and could not get it and wore myself out, and I was like, okay, I'm done, I'm good. So that pretty much wraps it up. It's really not a lot overall. So I spent about 3 hours here just skating, battling the heat and having a good time. So is this worth coming to? I guess if you're in the area and you just want to stop by for a couple of hours. And even though I haven't like been to all the parks in the Atlanta area, I can confidently say there's plenty of much better parks in the Atlanta area. Now, if you're west of Atlanta, I don't really know what all is out here, but if you're able to go into the Atlanta area, I know there's a ton, and I hope to get to those eventually. Thanks for checking out another episode of Skatepark Showcase. Real quickly, I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. Through your monthly donations, it's helping keep me on the road. I know these episodes are pretty few and far between, but if we can pump those numbers up, then I can stay on the road much more consistently. So thank you to everyone that is helping me every month. If you would like to support, just go to patreon.com/parksharks. As little as $1 a month can go a really long way. But if you can't donate or don't want to, that's totally fine. There's other ways that you can help out the show. Just follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you turn on the notification bells, leave a comment. Let me know where you're at. What's your park like? I'd like to hear your feedback, and I'd love to interact with you on any of those social media platforms. All right, that wraps it up. On to the next one. Here's what's coming up next.